What's up, guys? Welcome back to Psychopath Exposure. I'm your host, Kita. A comment came in, someone asking, what about narcissistic friendships? I think people underestimate the damage those kinds of friendships can do and gets even less support because people just say, oh, it's just a friendship, just cut them off. But they can equally become just as much of a trap as narcissistic relationships, especially if they become a close friend and really manage to get past those barriers. Thanks for sending that in. Let's explore that. I mean, friendships are supposed to be our safe space, right? So, a place where we feel supported, understood, cared for. But what happens when that friendship becomes toxic? And kind of like narcissistically toxic, right? A toxic that starts to feel like a trap. Narcissistic friendships are often underestimated. And people might tell you, just cut them off. It's not a big deal. Don't pay any attention to them. Oh, just ignore them. Don't let it bother you. But it's not that simple. Especially when a narcissistic friend has wormed their way into your life and trust, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and make a video on just that. I'm going to share how narcissistic friendships work, why they're so damaging, and the steps to break free. And also, if you're struggling to heal from narcissistic friendships or relationships, romantic relationships, any type of narcissistic abuse in your family, whether from a parent or a spouse or a friend, I do offer a private one-on-one coaching program to help survivors like you recover and reclaim their lives. There's a link below in the description. I'm flashing it right here on the screen too, where you can learn more about my program so we can work together. Okay? So let's jump right in. Now, let's start with the signs of a narcissistic friend. Okay, narcissistic friends are great. They're fantastic from far away. Okay? From far away, they're fantastic. But they're great also at hiding their true colors. See that? There's always going to be a red flag. And I just made a video on red flags of narcissists if you want to check that out right here. It's focused more on relationship red flags, but I do believe that when you're dealing with a narcissist, these red flags are universal. So you may want to check that out too. But remember, once you know the red flags, then you know what to look for. Number one, everything revolves around the narcissist. That's the first thing you got to remember. No matter what you're talking about, right? They always seem to steer the conversation back to their problems or their accomplishments. Okay? Number two, backhanded compliments. That's a fan favorite. They'll say things like, "Oh, I love how you don't care what people think about your outfits." Sounds like a compliment, really, but it's a subtle jab, right? They're really taking a dig. And some people, there are some people that are a little bit slow and will not pick up on that. But, oh man, the majority of you know exactly what that feels like. Number three is the competitive behavior, okay? Instead of being happy for you, the narcissist friend, they'll always find a way to somehow one-up you or downplay your own achievements. And believe me, when they downplay your achievements, they're going to up their achievements, okay? They push yours down and they talk about them. Their stuff is better than yours no matter what. They're really not happy about you. If they were really truly happy about you, they wouldn't change the topic or the subject. They wouldn't focus on themselves. They'd continue talking about you and asking you more questions, right? And just expand on that conversation because that's your moment. That's your moment. The very same way that they love when they talk about themselves and they get feedback from you, they're supposed to reciprocate that back, but they just don't. And that's how you know you're dealing with a narcissistic friend. Right there, that rubs me the wrong way, and I would imagine it drives you guys a little crazy too. Number four is the boundary violations, right? They'll push your limits, they'll guilt trip you, they'll make unreasonable demands, right? And then they act hurt when you complain or when you push back or when you call them out or when you tell them, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. Why are you making me feel this way when you just said that? Blah, 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 blah. No. Now you're the problem. Now you're the bad guy. Now you're the one that screwed up, and somehow you owe them an apology. It's funny how that works out so perfectly all the time. Number 5, they're drama magnets. Let's face it, they just are. Their lives are always chaotic, and somehow you're always the one that has to fix things. Okay? You're always the one that has to spend your energy, your mental energy, trying to fix their problems or figure out what they need to do to improve their lives. And then at the end of the day, you wonder why you're so mentally exhausted. Well, you probably spend half the day talking or chatting with this narcissistic friend. So of course you're mentally exhausted. Not just by the end of the night, you may be drained by the middle of the afternoon, if not the morning sometimes, depending on how strong or how high the narcissistic traits of your friend really is. It could be draining, guys. Does this sound familiar? Damn right it does. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about why narcissistic friendships are hard to leave or to cut off. You know how people say, oh, just don't talk to them anymore, just ignore them, just cut them off or whatever. Well, it's easier said than done. Here's the tricky part. Narcissistic friendships, they're hard to leave because they're so genuine, or at least they feel so genuine, okay? At least at the beginning of that relationship, you know. They know how to create this false sense of closeness at the beginning, right? They can become your go-to guy, your go-to person for advice or support. Someone that you feel you can trust even though they haven't really earned that trust. But once they've earned the trust, or so it appears, well, now they start using it against you. Like all narcissists, once they have you, they flip the script and they turn on you, okay? And the motive is to manipulate and control you. That's the motive of the narcissist across the board. It's always some sort of manipulation and control, okay? Even to humiliate you. There are some friends that, you know, they seem cool with you, but the minute they're in front of other people, right, and they have to socialize with other people, maybe some of your friends or something like that, haven't you noticed how you're always the butt of the joke, and somehow they'll start talking about something to humiliate you, and that's how they build rapport with your friends. Now suddenly everyone's laughing at you, and the narcissist feels like super cool because they're the ones entertaining the crowd and everyone is having a good time at your expense. A true friend, when you step out of the group, if you have to go to the bathroom, if you have to step away for a moment, they're going to talk high of you. Hey, you know what? That guy, I've known him all my life, and he's just a stand-up guy. And we've been through so much together, and there was a time that I was going through this, and blah, blah, blah. They did this for me. They're a really cool dude. You know, you talk up, you big up your friends when they're not in the room. But the narcissist takes that opportunity to gossip about you. You know, so be careful. Let's be honest. Society doesn't take friendship as seriously as romantic relationships. And that's the thing with the whole narcissist thing, where people they're gonna dismiss it. And that doesn't mean that they're narcissistic. They don't understand. So they're gonna be like, hey, look, it's just a friend. Let it go. It's not like, this is not the person you're sleeping with. Like forget about it. But when it's a close friend, there is an emotional investment, right? There is an emotional investment, and it can run just as deep as any romantic bond. That's why walking away is harder. And it's kind of like a parent too, right? Your parent is not a romantic partner, but you have a deep connection with them. So you can't just cut your parents off, or you can't just cut your narcissistic mother off. You know, you can maybe reduce the amount of time, the contact that you have, but you're just not going to go full-blown cut them off. And that's the thing, right? With a romantic relationship, yes, you can. You can just break up and never speak with them again and go full no contact. But you can't do that with a parent, right? And sometimes with a friend, it's not socially accepted to just do something like that. So it's a slippery slope. And that's why I'm glad that this comment was made, because this is something that gets overlooked, and it could be just as damaging as any romantic relationship. So, speaking of damage, why don't we dive a little bit deep into the actual damage that a narcissist friend causes? Give me a second. You know, they do leave scars, believe me, that could take years to heal. For example, your self-esteem. Okay, their constant criticism, even if disguised or masked as a joke, chips away at your confidence and your self-esteem over time. Okay? Sometimes they isolate you. They make you feel like they're the only person who truly understands or cares about you. So you end up hanging around this toxic narcissist most of your time, and instead of hanging around with better quality friends, you're somehow stuck with this low energy succubus, right? That's just draining you nonstop, and you don't know better, and you keep spending your time, or you keep investing your time in this narcissist friend. They drain your energy. Every interaction with a narcissist friend feels exhausting. Okay? They're taking and taking, but do they ever give you anything back? How do you feel at the end of those conversations? When you get off the phone with a narcissist friend, do you feel empowered and motivated and inspired to do some work and to grow your business, or to exercise and hit the gym, right? To do some positive thing. Are you looking forward to the rest of the day because you just feel good? Or do you feel worse than you felt when you first got on the phone with them? Do you feel drained? Do you feel depressed? Are you angry? Are you irritated? That's, pay attention to that, because that's important. One last thing I want to note about that is how they'll sabotage your other relationships. And this is something that happens also when you're romantically involved with a narcissist. Your other relationships, including your other friends and your family, gets pushed to the side. They'll sow seeds of doubt or jealousy about your other friends and your family, right? And what it does, it kind of makes you more dependent on the narcissist at that point, because they're pushing everyone away. Then now you're more dependent on them, because it seems like they're your only friend now. It seems like they're the only ones that you can count on. It seems like they're the only ones you can hang out with, right? Because they have pushed everybody away out of your life. How did they have the power to do that? Did we give them that power? Were we so deep under their spell that we just unconsciously were doing their bidding? Certainly seems so. Certainly seems so. So how do you escape the grip of a narcissistic friendship or a narcissist friend? Well, here's some steps that you might consider. Number one, acknowledge the truth. That sounds simple enough, but you'd be surprised how hard it really is to be honest about the situation and just come clean about the truth. Recognize the patterns and accept that that friend that you have, that friend that you're hoping is not a narcissist, that friend that you suspect deeply that is a narcissist, that friend that drove you to click on this video, okay? And somehow you're kind of hoping that they're not what you think they are. It's about time you accepted that they are exactly what you thought they were. And you can't fix what you don't admit. I'm not saying you can fix the narcissist, but you can fix the situation. That friendship needs to be cut off. But you have to come clean with the reality of it. Number two, and this one gets tossed around a lot, but it's that you got to learn how to set some firm boundaries, ladies and gentlemen. Limit how much time and energy you give to this toxic person. And don't feel guilty about protecting yourselves. That's another thing. We start setting boundaries and then we feel guilty. We feel guilty because we're cutting someone off, and we start thinking about, I hope they don't feel bad. I hope they don't feel like if I'm pushing them away. And yet you forget all the damage that they've done to you. How come that doesn't matter anymore? How come the damage they've done to you means nothing? And you're only thinking about their feelings now. See, that's how we become codependent in these toxic relationships. We start putting their feelings before ours. And narcissists don't care about our feelings, do they? So why do we care so much about theirs? So learning how to set firm boundaries means, hey, no, setting boundaries is a selfish thing, and selfish is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. You have to be able to set those boundaries and stick with them. Otherwise, they're not boundaries. They're guidelines. Another thing you could do is seek support. It's hard to find. It's hard to find if they've already pushed all your support system away, but you got to talk to someone or find someone who understands. Sometimes you got to go to therapy for something like that. Sometimes you got to talk to a stranger. You'd be surprised sometimes talking to a stranger. Life somehow manifests people into your life that are going through the same thing, and you have common ground and you help each other. Assuming the person that you're talking to is healthy and wants to heal and wants to get better, or they have lived through what you have lived, and their sole purpose now is to uplift others. But you got to find a support system. You can't just go on thinking that, oh, well, yeah, this is my friend, so even though they make me feel like utter crap and they're a negative influence in my life, I'll keep asking them for advice. No. Mm-mm. They're not gonna make the situation better when they're the ones that made it worse to begin with. And look, honestly, if you need to cut ties with them, you gotta cut ties with them. If they refuse to respect your boundaries, you gotta walk away. I wouldn't even entertain a conversation with them. If you know that they're narcissists, like for sure, a conversation is only gonna ruin your day. It's gonna get escalated. It's going to drain you of your energy and your time, and you're going to wish that you wouldn't have even brought it up to begin with. So some people, you just have to walk away, especially in today's day and age where everything's online and we're just chatting with people and texting, and they don't even live in our cities anymore, and they're married, or they live in another country now, and they have kids, or maybe they don't have kids, and some people just don't respond for weeks at a time. I have friends that don't respond for weeks at a time. And then when they do respond, it's like we continue where we left off. There's no animosity. There's nothing. So you got to be able to cut ties with these people. You have to be able to do it. So, in conclusion, just narcissistic friendships, remember, they can be just as toxic, if not worse, than any other romantic relationship in your life. Cutting ties with them is not easy, but you can break free. You can break free. And you know what? You deserve to surround yourself with people who genuinely support and uplift you. The choice is yours. The choice is yours, but you deserve it. You deserve it. So if you've experienced a narcissistic friendship, I want to hear your story. Share your story in the comments. Your insight could help someone else who's going through the very same thing. Let us know if your situation, if the reason you watch these videos is because there's a friend. Maybe it's a friend that you met at work and you've become friends and you see them all the time. Whatever the case may be, they're affecting your life deeply where you need to watch content like this to get answers. So let us know your story. And as usual, don't forget to like, subscribe to the video, and check out my other videos for more tips on spotting and escaping narcissistic or toxic relationships in general. Again, I mentioned this before, but if you're ready to take your healing to the next level, guys, I invite you to check out my private one-on-one coaching program. It's designed specifically for survivors of narcissistic abuse to help you recover, rebuild, and move stronger. Move, like I always say, you got to move forward. But it's not just moving forward. It's moving forward stronger than you were before. Okay? It's taking the right action instead of taking no action. If you take no action, you think you're just going to stay in the same place that you were? No. If you take no action, you're moving backwards, guys. You are moving backwards. So it's about moving forward, doing the next right thing. Okay, and I'm here to support and guide you guys. I went through the same thing. We'll hold your hand step by step, every inch of the way. Okay, every inch of the way, the same way my mentor did with me. So I have a link flashing below here in the description if you'd like to get more information on that. I would love to consult and support you to navigate out of this nightmare. Remember, you guys deserve friendships and relationships that feel good and not draining. Okay, let's leave those energy draining relationships in the past. All right, hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. My name is Kita. This is Psychopath Exposure, and I'll catch you on the next one. Be good.